Hey everyone, this is Bender Beerman, and today we're going to do a video about pretty much the most complicated portion of designing and building a draft system, and that is calculating the restriction that's necessary. So, when you have a draft system, whatever your pressure you're pushing with to keep your carbonation in check. So we'll go with like 2.5 volumes because that's a really standard one. 2.5 volumes of CO2 carbonation needs 12 pounds of CO2 pressure at 38 degrees to maintain carbonation. Now, in a draft system, you actually have to build in the restriction throughout the entire system to put 12 pounds of pressure back on it so that the beer moves from one to another with no change to it. So it all starts here where the keg is, and your coupler and your jumper, and I can never remember what this thing is called up here, but this gives about 1 pound of pressure. And then the height that the beer has to rise gives about a half pound per foot of resistance. Sorry, 1 pound of resistance, half pound of resistance ups. But if it goes back down, it gains a pound. You subtract a half pound of resistance to get where you need to go. This is the most confusing part about it, honestly. So, keg, coupler. So add 1 pound resistance. Height. So on the system that we're building, it's going up about 3 feet. So that's 1.5 pounds. This is the equation that you have to do to get the right choker length at the very end. Don't worry, I'll explain it. It does help to have a calculator on hand. Luckily, all modern phones have calculators. So I'm just going to bring that up and clear it. Okay, so I'm going to be using 5/16 line, which has a resistance of 0.10. And it goes to length of run. So the length of the run is going to be about 10 feet. Lines in, hold on. So line restriction in pounds. So 10 feet times 0.10 is 1. Line lift, line drop. Okay, so this is where you add, subtract. So we're going up 3 feet, we're going over, we're going down a foot, we're going through a wall, and then we're going back up a foot. So the down a foot and up a foot at the very end negate themselves. So basically we're only going up 3 feet. So 1/2 pound a foot up is 1.5 pounds of restriction. $1.5. Okay, so now we add these two together to here, and so that gives us 2.5 pounds of restriction. System hardware, like I said, here to here, that adds about 1 pound of restriction just from the hardware. So we're going to put a 1, so that's going to be total system restriction is 3.5. All right, makes sense? So over here, we drop down. Total pressure that target pressure that we're wanting to run. So we're going to run 12 psi. So we're going to subtract the total system resistance of 3.5, which gives us 8.5 that we need to come up with. So we divide 3 pounds because the restrictor line, the 3/16 line, is 3 pounds per foot of restriction that it adds. Quite a bit of restriction. So we divide 3 pounds into 8.5 and we get 2.8 pounds, or 2.8 feet of the 3/16 line that we need to add the choker line in the very end. And that is how you calculate that. I don't know if I explained that quite well enough, but we'll just recap. So we're going to use 5/16 line. It has a restriction of 0.10 times the length of the run, 10 feet, equals 1 pound. Plus or minus on lift and drop, we've got a total lift of 3 feet. So at 0.5 pounds of restriction per foot raised, we've got 1.5 pounds added, which equals 2.5 pounds added together, plus 1 pound of system hardware restriction equals 3.5 total system restriction. So over here, our target pressure is 12 psi, and our total system restriction is 3.5 minus that. So we ended up with 8.5 that we need to come up with. So we divide that by 3, and that gives us a total length of 2 feet, well, 2.8 feet of choker line for resistance to add the rest of the resistance to equal 12 psi of resistance. So, does that make sense? If it doesn't, let me know. I will try to explain it again. Just so you know, 2.8 feet is, I'm going to cut it at 2 feet 10 inches and run the rest of my line, and that should work out. So I hope that explains that. If not, let me know and I will try to do it again. So I hope you guys have a great day. Drink a beer. Cheers. All right. Bye.